The Midas Touch, by yours truly. For those that understand what a contract really is, the concepts that follow will be easy to spot and the relevancy therein. It is not always an easy task to remove people from their literal reality brain traps for them to see far beyond a well-programmed veil. I will share one version of the King Midas mythology and then have a look at its multiplicity. Midas, mythological possessor of the Midas touch, the power to transmute whatever he touched into gold. Midas was a king of Phrygia, a region nowadays part of Turkey. One day, some of his farmhands brought him a satyr that they had caught napping in the vineyard. This creature, part man, part goat, still groggy and much the worse for wear, had been thoroughly trussed up to keep him from escaping. Midas immediately recognized Silenus, right-hand satyr to the god Dionysus, and ordered him set free. Silenus explained that he and his master had just returned from the east, where they had been engaged in spreading the cultivation of the grape. Dionysus had brought back a tiger or two, an ever-expanding flock of followers, and one very drunken satyr. Silenus had conked out in Midas' vineyard to sleep it off. Now he was grateful to the king for treating him with dignity, and so was Dionysus. The god was so pleased, in fact, that he offered to grant whatever Midas should wish for. Now, you didn't get to rule a kingdom in those days without a pretty active grasp of what makes for a successful economy. Midas didn't have to think twice. As the simplest plan for the constant replenishment of the royal treasury, he asked that everything he touched be turned to gold. Arching a godly eyebrow, Dionysus went so far as to ask if Midas were sure. To which the king instantly replied, "Sure, I'm sure." So Dionysus waved his pine branch scepter and conferred the boon. And Midas rushed back home to try it out. Tentatively at first, he laid a trembling fingertip upon a bowl of fruit, and then a stool, and then a woolly lambkin. And when each of these had been transmuted in a trice into purest gold, the king began to caper like the lambkin before its transformation. "Just look at this," he crowed, turning his chariot into a glittering mass of priceless, though worthless, transportation. "Look what Daddy can do," he cried, taking his young daughter by the hand to lead her into the garden for a lesson in making dewy nature gleam with a monotonous but more valuable sheen. Encountering unexpected resistance, he swung about to see why his daughter was being such a slug, whereupon his eyes encountered, where late his child had been, a life-size golden statue that might have been entitled, "Innocence Surprised." "Uh-oh," said Midas, and from that point on the uh-ohs multiplied. He couldn't touch any useful object without it losing in utility what it gained in monetary value, nor any food without it shedding all nutritional potency on its leaden way down his gullet. In short, Midas came to understand why Dionysus had looked askance when asked to grant the favor. Fortunately, the god was a good sport about it. He allowed Midas to wash away his magic touch in the river Pactolus, which ever after enjoyed renown for its shimmering deposits of gold. Beyond the obvious, be careful and very mindful what you wish for. There are other hidden gems that can be contained fractally within as well, specifically in the phonics hints. There is a far bigger picture being painted here, where people constantly get caught up in the actors and dramas that surround any given story, and fail to expand or contract everything as it applies to all of perceived creation. That's what a fractal is. Can you see the bigger and smaller story? The entire program of the Whore of Babylon is contained in this story, as is the trap and destruction of that trap. It is our very touch that has us constantly in contracts here with our thoughts, be they wise or ignorant, being empowered and thus made manifest. At first, Midas was already well engulfed in the illusion of external value, which predicated his encounter with the external god that granted his wish. That external god is only the mirror of the true power that Midas had within, albeit he was ignorant of that fact amidst countless others. In short, Midas was owned by his greed, and in turn his physical ego, which only serves the flesh, not the spiritual. You will be hard-pressed to find anyone that hasn't been taken in by this lure once they were old enough to understand the lie sold as value called money. Midas was already well entrenched in the system, where his choice was a given, inasmuch as that was where his head and heart was, money worship. The greatest illusion ever sold to the masses was this external green-eyed monster called money, in that once someone has money, they will have power as a result. The only one that has any power is the one that can control others through this nonsense. The one who controls the concept controls the consciousness of all who fall for this illusion. In Midas' example, it had to take the loss of his daughter for him to wake up to his greed. This is exactly the same thing that today's system is doing via the birth certificate fraud, where the seal is done at the point we affirm our mental intent contract to even touch any system paperwork. How so, you will ask? Well, once you decide in your mind to do anything and everything, you are already in contract via intent and thought. In order for anything to come into existence, the thought had to be there first, unless you can prove reality otherwise. One must choose to get one's hair cut before going out the door to get it done. Effects always follow cause, where we have been running that program backwards and wondering why we're in the mess we're in. This is the mastery of problem, reaction, solution. Plant the thought, observe the desired intent of reaction, then provide a solution to the original thought implanting to steer the game any way you want, since everyone here is at physical effect thereof mentality, the child's mind. Midas was easily controlled by his greed, so his choice of wanting to turn everything to gold based on that greed. Even when he was asked if he was sure about his choice, thought, contract, he greedily said that he was sure. This is a reactive mind, the lower ego mind in full swing and easy to control. Just imagine a child in the grocery aisle, or ILL, screaming for what it wants and totally out of control. This is the power of commercialism and its cohort, commercial law, legal fiction, Phoenician law, garbage. People have no idea of the power of words and the spells they are under in their sleepy ignorance. What is even tougher to watch is how much they will fight you for trying to wake them up from this. Unfortunately, like Midas, they will have to experience the reality of losing their most precious aspects of their lives, if need be, for their own awakening to begin. For example, take a cop who likes to abuse people physically and emotionally because they have been duped into thinking they are better than others because of some silly costume they're wearing, which only proves their intent to commit fraud daily. Most, if not all, of these types of people will never change until something affects them to the same degree as what Midas experienced. In some cases, their choices of past actions actually cost them their lives, where they get to reboot back into this game as one of the beings they love to victimize. I wonder how they'll feel and what they'll say with their former reality being placed in the mirror. This is the joy and sorrow of the Golden Rule, where the ultimate choice is always ours to choose. The system is Midas, and we have all been made the touch. When Mom or Dad touches the registrar book or forms, their very touch that leaves DNA evidence on those papers is the sealing of the gift, or gamete intrafallopian transfer, that turns the children, us, into system gold, literally. All the clues are there, and far too numerous to even count now. So if your tricky little bastard called ego needs proof, well, it's a no contest now. Every piece of system paper is intent to contract, and all the system needs is our Midas touch to give them our gold. Remember, everything here is backwards, so the more monetized wealth you lust for, the more enslaved you are. The simple proof is in the DNA you have, which is your physical and spiritual proof of existence, is shared with both Mom and Dad equally, with the mitochondrial DNA from Mom that goes right back to the first creation of DNA that we see as physical reality or existence. When either of your parents touch anything regarding the birth registration, they are leaving their living seal, or highest covenant and promise, as the forensic proof that can be connected to you, the child, because you are both of their DNA made one. People need to stop thinking only in physical terms regarding contracts, because all things physical are the effect of cause and intent, that is the realm of spiritual, or your thoughts. A match will only light after you decide to pick it up and then strike it, never before. Even for someone who has telekinetic abilities, shows this where that self-same match will ignite based on their thought and intent. When you begin to see the nature of this, you begin to see the depth of the rabbit holes for the first time, where anyone tackling things in the physical sense is really only scratching the surface. I see some of the most brilliant minds in this game still arguing statutes and legal, which has nothing to do with real law, and why the system loves it when people do this. We have a planet full of King Midases that are actually creating gold for the darkest of principalities, namely those that control the Whore of Babylon game. The whole idea of ownership will have you fighting with vengeance everyone and everything that interferes with their gimme egos. Religions have people flowing energy to the same dark principalities in ignorance and full intent. The commerce system works the same way, and why I loathe the concept of money, because of the intent it serves. Again, if thine eye offend thee, pluck it out, which is to say, if you're not part of the solution, you are empowering the problem. In this dualistic place, you cannot serve two masters, because intent is a singularity, unconditional, and purest creation. Everyone in commerce is King Midas, and their very touch is being used to spin gold out of them. I am long past being gentle about this level of harm being manifest against ourselves and our children. I am done with the mental retardation of those calling themselves adults yet still scream as children. The whole idea of growing up was to be able to do what we want, only to find ourselves just following rules made up by other supposed adults, where they too are even more childlike in the spiritual evolution. When you can finally see that everything is backwards here and in the shadow mirror, you'll begin to actually see what is really going on and not before it. At what point will you awaken to this mirror of mirrors and stop playing in the realm of smoke and shadows? If you claim anything legal, you are living in a dream world of another's creation. Did you not register your children, your car, your house, etc.? Do you not work for a company that is registered? Do you put money in a registered bank? Did you not claim to be dead by consent by using a registered name? If you have any identification, you are assumed and presumed dead by consent, and always in permanent dishonor. All things registered are all things dead crown fiction, and all ID created off the birth certificate is pure fraud and connects you right back to the contract sealed by your parents. Yes, it was the crown owner's intent to deceive, to aid and abet us into committing a crime of self-incrimination and fraud, which left them in a very precarious honor until we unveiled this. But you, yes you, have upon you now the universal obligation to stand in or deny truth. Oh, don't worry. The universal laws will be keeping you in line voluntarily or not. These are the immutable laws of creation that none can defy, and why this system was doomed upon the inception of the mere thought of it. Truth. What will it take for you to see this? Your children are already system gold by your touch, your responsibility. How many of our children have been stolen, raped, murdered, and kidnapped in full honor by the system because we give it the power of our consent? Have you had enough yet? How many more children will be stolen by your inaction and willful consent to be owned and serving this whore of Babylon? Again, don't worry, the universe is fully aware of your choices of action or inaction, and as a result of the golden rule, you will get what you wish for. That is a universal promise, and one you will fully have to live by. Such is the nature of the game here. Unfortunately, the lesser wise of us will flaunt and mock these immutable laws to their own demise, where my consciousness will simply remove them from existence regardless. I no longer see physical people where I can only see spiritual intent and consciousness, the other aspects of me. So if mine eye offends me, I pluck them from consciousness without remorse needed, where they are simply a change of mind, a change of heart, and will cease to exist in my reality at all. Such is the nature of consciousness and you, but then you might have been in a foggy sleep and forgotten this. I'm just here to remind you and all that I am all, and I choose what is allowed in my universe as I experience it. You will be hard-pressed to find anyone who isn't in the Midas default program, and even harder-pressed to find those willing to abandon it, even after they know what's really going on. The script-writing ability of the left brain will keep people writing fear scenes, and only because they're still locked in the program so deeply embedded. People may not like my approach on things, and there are many that likely hate me for pointing out the things I do to make them fully accountable to their own freely chosen and willful woes. Been there, cried the river, got over it, and moved along. A good measure of this program is evident in the overwhelming victim mentality so many are dramatizing and hate it when people call them out on their bullshit. The masses have been fully engulfed in Midas commercialism, and it's not difficult to expose their programmed greed, just like the mythological star of this allegory. It is always, it is always the easy answers that confuse people and leave them in a state of disbelief as to their own selfish naivety, but mostly due to the overwhelming nature of their responsibility as to their involvement. The sheer scope of this mind trap will leave even the strongest of us reeling in the face of it. The simple fact remains: there is a job to be done, and you, a job to be done, and you who are hearing or reading this contracted with the universe to get this job done. People like to ask me what they should do regarding this or that as it pertains to their experience, but the truth is, you already know. We are so programmed to seek acceptance from others that most won't make a move without peer approval, which only leaves them someone to blame their woes on if they do something wrong. Ego needs justifiers as a fallback and blame someone else position. The ego's lust to be right at all costs is unparalleled because its only goal is physical comfort and pleasure. It actively avoids all things that may cause pain or loss of survival comfort and will viciously lash out at anyone or anything that impinges physical satiations. In that regard, the ego that controls anyone is also very easy to manipulate with any kind of Midas carrot. That is why COINTELPRO operations like Swiss Indo, Opt, Nasara, Dinar, etc. are so effective in dragnetting so many people because it satiates the greed, lust, and easy way out people, especially those who have been in the trenches for any length of time exposing this system. I find it more than ironic that people are seeking an easy answer to their woes where the answer couldn't be simpler, albeit one that isn't easy and requires a level of self-responsibility that they are unused to. Such is the nature of the effects of people suckling off the teats of this commerce whore. They know they are drinking pure poison to their soul, but the meat stick has clenched teeth locked on her nipples. The easiest solution is to have an already formed community, such as indigenous peoples, who are already united as one tribe or another, but getting them off the white man's cock requires a bigger lever than even Atlas himself could wield. If they only knew the unified people is the most terrifying thing to this current soul-stealing system. From my own experience, they prefer to hate people like me who interfere with their victim stories with silly things like truth and resolve. I have met a few brave souls in these communities, but they're treated with vileness more than me. Sad, truly sad. Apparently, it's way more fun being a drama queen victim than actually living a real and free life. Nonetheless, we all need to see the level of the damage we have created for ourselves, take responsibility for that damage, and finally decide to stand or fall. The system has used your Midas touch to take all things real, transfer them to a fictional state to steal them, and while you play with them, they will continue to run the same show because it's working quite well. I will challenge anyone and everyone that claims to be awake, wants freedom, wants to tear this system down, only to be unable to pry their own lips from the white man's cock or whore's tits as well. I am long past being gentle about this, and I will simply remind anyone that tells me I need to not be so harsh as I tell them that the freshly raped and murdered child is now their responsibility for not being as fervent as I. We have to be the voices and actions for those newly silenced children. If I'm not doing everything in my power to stop this, I'm as guilty by omission as the one who actually did it by enabling this dark realm to persist. No, Midas got let off the hook lightly because Dionysus was a good sport, but I assure you, the thugs in real life aren't so good sporty about it, and they are salivating about the next target that humanity enables by being an active participant via supporting the whore, by playing full-on without making active strides to ice this bitch. If you can understand the domino effect, you are just one of the dominoes in the row, keeping the chain reaction humming along. We have the answers now to deal this whore called commerce or legal a death blow, but few are willing to take their game to the last level and will enslave their souls yet again as a result of complacent inaction, where it is always someone else's job to do. That's where you're deadly wrong on the spiritual side. There is no one coming to save you. You're already here. There is nothing anyone else can do for you that is yours to do, your responsibility. The best way to say it is like this. Regardless of what you do to stand in or deny truth, you're going to get a universal lesson out of it. The proverbial catch-22 of damned if you do or don't. This reality is about standing up to these scripted fears and then wiping them off your checklist one baby step at a time. If you choose to stand in truth at all costs, the Midas touch becomes one of a different nature, and one that benefits mankind versus enslaving it and yourself further. What you do here is mirrored as above in the spiritual realms. Our only game is to see if we can handle it and climb back up Jacob's ladder. What we cause below manifests above and vice versa. So stand up and free yourself, or be content to sit quietly as the slave you're wishing to be, and take a long hard suck on the spiritual poison from Mama Whore and Papa Cock, but be quiet about it. Remember, children should be seen and not heard, right? There's some truth for you if you can handle it. If not, too bad, so get out of the way while the grown-ups finish the masterpiece that you will never see. Such is the nature of having to come back to finish off what you keep failing to do. Me? Well, I've had enough of this monkey whisperer reality where the psychos run the asylum, where the next dead child is your fault. Try crying over that one, and you begin to get a notion of my own passion to stop this. Personally, I would have left Midas to his choice for a long time, to make sure he never repeated such a thing. That's what a real good sport does. One who loves enough to see the value of life without greed. Much love.